We all know that Cruise likes to do his stunts himself. He insists on it. It's as if he's not even aware of the existence of the concept of a stunt double. But we have to give it to him. The results in his movies are always excellent. Let's take a look at all the death-defying stunts done by Tom Cruise. Starting with 2000's Mission Impossible 2, Tom Cruise's cliff jump.
The ankle. This is the... So are you fully recovered? Are you well?
It's still broken, but I'm doing well.
No, you're kidding. Is it still broken?
Yeah, I mean, it's not fully healed, but we're shooting.
But that's nuts, because we've seen a picture of you're running and doing all the stuff again.
In Mission Impossible 2, Impossible Mission Force's Ethan Hunt has been sent to Sydney to find and destroy a genetically modified disease called Chimera. While there are countless terrifying stunts throughout the classic Mission Impossible, this one has to be the one mentioned first, because Tom Cruise thought it would be a good idea to scale a cliff with his bare hands, only his fingertips pulling him up, and he does the stunt all by himself. And if that wasn't enough, Cruise then continues to jump a 15-foot gap with only a thin rope to aid him and hold him to safety. One thing is for sure, Cruise knows how to fly, and not just fighter jets. Next, 2000's Mission Impossible 2, Tom Cruise's knife to the eye stunt. In the same Mission Impossible movie as previously mentioned, Tom Cruise had the great idea to do this stunt for real, and all by himself as well. The director John Woo was not amused. Woo tried to convince Cruise not to do the stunt himself, and when that didn't work, he tried to convince Cruise to at least not use a real knife. But by this point, Cruise had already made up his mind, and was sure that the effect would not look accurate enough if he didn't do it for real. So while we all sat with eyes shut tight in this guilty scene, Tom Cruise kept his wide open, as a real knife was plunged at him, stopping only millimeters away from his literal eyeball. The blade ended up much closer to Cruise's eye than the director felt comfortable with, but the result is exactly as Cruise intended. Absolutely terrifying and very convincing. Following 2011's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Tom Cruise ran down the skyscraper. In Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, the Impossible Mission Force is down after it's implicated in the bombing of the Kremlin.
In every possible way as a storyteller, as an artist. And there's moments you think you know what you're doing, and, you know, some days we're just sitting there and saying, like, I don't know the answer. I don't.
Which causes Ethan Hunt and his crew to go rogue to clear the organization's name. And of course, Cruise just had to pull another impossible stunt for his beloved franchise. We're talking about that scene where Cruise's Ethan is scaling a skyscraper. Let us rephrase that Cruise is scaling the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. In the stunt, Ethan is wearing special suction gloves to reach the 130th floor. And then when he tramples down to conclude with a giant leap of faith, we get vertigo just thinking about it. Cruise had to get his own insurance company to pull the stunt off himself because the company that insured the movie wasn't going to agree to let Cruise clamber up the side of a building, let alone the Burj Khalifa. But that wasn't going to stop Cruise, and he found himself an insurance company that, if they did mind, they were at least willing to risk it, and it paid off. Next up, in 2014's Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise wore exoskeleton armor.
One of the things when you start looking at, realistic, okay, what would it be like to live the same day over and over again? And of course, at first, it's a nightmare. It's particularly with this, it's like you're having to live your worst day over and over again in one of the most...
Edge of Tomorrow follows the story of a soldier that fights aliens and is revived the same day over and over again, every day starting at the moment he dies. Maybe you're wondering what is so dangerous about wearing armor, but try to imagine armor that weighs 85 pounds, because that's what Cruise did, and then remember his lines and act as well. While the details were later added with CGI, the armor is accurate. Only Tom Cruise would opt to go for the real thing. Now hold up, where do you think we're going? We're not entirely done yet. Tom Cruise has had a prosperous career filled with terrifying stunts. Do you remember that other time Cruise decided to put his life literally at his fingertips? Or when he scaled up the tallest skyscraper in the world? And then there's the one stunt that didn't go quite as planned, and Cruise broke his ankle. Keep watching until the end of the video to find out more. Now, let's get to it. First up, 2015's Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Spielberg lived down the street from me, and I would often go and have dinner, just he and I, you know.
As one does.
Yeah, as one does. You know. But I knew him since basically, you know, I was a kid also, and I lived down the street, and we would go and, you know.
In Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Ethan Hunt and his team get yet another impossible mission when they have to eradicate an international rogue organization as madly skilled as they are, and are committed to destroying the Impossible Mission Force. Whereas Tom Cruise was seen flying planes in Top Gun 2, in this one, he hangs outside of one because, why not? Once again, Cruise puts his trust in the tips of his fingers, this time at 1,000 feet, and he continued to do that for about 6 to 8 minutes from an Airbus A400M, flying at a speed of 100 knots. While he was attached to a wire for safety purposes, we're convinced this was against Cruise's will. Next in 2017's The Mummy, Tom Cruise is in zero gravity. In 2017's The Mummy, an ancient Egyptian princess awakened from her crypt beneath the desert with her malice that has grown over millennia. She sets out to terrorize the human race in ways that are incomprehensible to them. And there's this crash scene that crews insisted on doing 64 takes in zero gravity to ensure that the stunt looked authentic. While the directors did suggest using a soundstage, crews wouldn't hear of it. If you didn't notice by now, it doesn't matter to Cruise how dangerous a stunt is. He will do it on his own and for real. Unfortunately, this also meant that his co-star Annabelle Wallis had to go through the stunt in real life. One thing is for sure, acting scared paired isn't necessary when you've got Cruise in your cast, because he'll ensure the experience is as accurate as possible. And now in 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout, Tom Cruise hangs from a helicopter. Mission Impossible Fallout sees Ethan Hunt, his Impossible Mission Force team, and some other familiar allies in a race against time after a mission has gone terribly wrong. This time directors offered Tom Cruise to do the stunt with the help of a green screen, but that would have been very un-Cruise. So Cruise took some training and hung from a helicopter in real life to ensure once more that the scene looked as accurate as it was. While most actors wouldn't even consider the real thing, or at the very least tap their stunt double, it seems Cruise always goes for the real thing first, regardless of the possible consequences and whether someone agrees with him. Following 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout, Tom Cruise jumped some buildings. In the same movie mentioned, Tom Cruise has already decided to hang from a helicopter and was undergoing training. Compared to that, what is jumping a building? Cruise wouldn't be Cruise if he didn't do as many death-defying stunts in a movie as he can, and this time around he jumped from one building to another, with a safety harness of course. He didn't come away unscathed for this one, as he broke his ankle, but he got the shot. Next, Tom Cruise did a cockpit stunt in 2022's Top Gun Maverick. It's been 30 years, and somehow Maverick is still pushing the envelope as a top naval aviator. This time he has to confront the ghost from his past as he leads Top Gun's elite graduates on a mission that demands the ultimate sacrifice from those to fly it. The cockpit scene in the Tom Cruise sequel was just as dangerous as it seemed on screen, and you guessed it, Tom Cruise did it all alone. At this point you have to wonder whether Cruise doesn't just do this stuff for fun. Maybe he even does stunts in his free time. Who knows? Cruise had undergone extensive training to make this incredible scene possible. The cast was trained to fly their plane for Top Gun Maverick. It looks like the dedication that Cruise puts into his movies has rubbed off on some of his cast members a little. And lastly, 2023's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. We started this video with a Mission Impossible, and we'll also be ending it with a Mission Impossible. Dead Reckoning will be released on the 14th of July 2023, so don't worry, you didn't accidentally miss the 7th entry in the long-running Mission Impossible series. But Tom Cruise will do one of the most death-defying stunts in this upcoming movie. The Cruise will be riding a motorbike on an off-ramp and continuing to parachute his way down. You have to wonder who even comes up with these stunts, because it has to be Cruise himself. And that's all we've got for now. Which one gave you the most anxiety? Just watching Tom Cruise do the stunt? Let us know in the comments. And thanks for watching.